I hope everyone's weekend is off to a good start. I thought I'd share a recent discussion that I had with someone regarding Sicily during the early 1980s, specifically when the Coglianesi were in the process of annihilating the Palermo bosses, their families, and anyone associated to them. Would an American-made member of Cosa Nostra be able to enter Sicily and carry out a hit during that time? Back then, Sicily had two factions of the Sicilian Mafia at odds with one another. There was a set of bosses from Palermo and another set from Corleone. And according to what's known, the people of Sicily viewed the Palermo bosses as wealthy aristocrats of the Mafia. The bosses from Corleone, conversely, were not held in that same regard. This naturally led to a great deal of animosity and jealousy in the stomachs of the Coglianesi. After all, as far as the Mafia went, they were supposed to be considered equal to their counterparts in Palermo, who for all intents and purposes looked down on them. The Coglianesi, hailing from Corleone, a town replete with churches and farmland, caused the Palermo bosses to refer to them as campagnari, which translates to peasants. And one of those peasants was Salvatore Totorina. So let's talk about how he went about dealing with that resentment and jealousy that he was experiencing. In reality, he channeled it into determination and began questioning fellow mafiosi relentlessly, finding out information such as their secrets, envies, ambitions, and more importantly, the weaknesses of each member. For instance, he knew what each member earned and how they earned it. And he had the ability to gain the trust, and more crucially, the loyalty of key members in and around Palermo. In addition, he managed to put together a network of spies that ultimately became the eyes and ears of the Coglianesi. And he managed to do this by bribing locals with more money than they ever seen before. As one person put it, people were afraid to stand on a street corner and talk. All it took was for a Coglianesi spy to report that you said something wrong, and you would be killed within a day. Totorina had Palermo, once controlled by the opposing bosses, in the palm of their hand. On a daily basis, they littered the streets in Sicily with bodies of mafia members, civilians, policemen, judges, politicians, and anyone and everyone associated to the Palermo bosses, all their key allies, and ultimately the bosses themselves, as well as their children, relatives, friends, and a great deal of the spies themselves, or people who switched allegiances because they felt they were traitors who couldn't be trusted. As one reporter who grew up in Sicily during that era said, he felt like he was living in a war zone back then. The Coglianesi essentially had a proficient intelligence system throughout Sicily and knew where everyone was and where they were going at all times. I'll end with this. I know the answer, but I'm going to leave it up to you viewers to decide. If a member of American Cosa Nostra could waltz into Sicily during this time frame, hit someone, and slip out of the country unharmed, feel free to leave a comment with your opinion because I definitely have mine.